Any nays? Motion carries. Thank you very much. We do have two agreements in the packet for Council of Aging. One is regarding the Senior RX program, which is a great program that we have for the seniors across our county that helps them with their prescriptions. And the other is regarding our support agreement with TARCOG with us for our Council of Aging. The first regarding the Senior RX program, the contract is effective the 1st of October 2022. The purpose is to award funds to the Commission in order to expand the existing medication assistance program for our elderly in the county. And this agreement will provide $20,848 to the Commission for the execution of this program. Do I have a motion to approve and sign the annual contract with TARCOG for the Senior RX program?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any discussion or questions? If no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next in the packet is our annual agreement regarding from TARCOG. It is an agreement between TARCOG and Jackson County for the execution of our Council of Aging program. This is an annual contract that we sign. It is the same as the contracts we have had in previous years. Regarding this contract, the services of the contractor commences the 1st of October 2022, and a monthly budget for anticipated expenditures will be prepared by the contractor and submitted to TARCOG. So with that, let me ask our Director of Council of Aging, Chad Coleman, any comment?
Thank you, gentlemen. There's no major changes, and this annual agreement is related to the past agreements. The financial reward is still the same, $129,000 that comes straight to the Commission. So that didn't change this year, but there is a possibility that there could be a little more funding in the future that they may add on. So if you have any questions about the contract, please ask.
Is that the cap amount we can receive, or is that what we qualify for? How is that
It's
number
population
determined?
based.
Okay. What was the question?
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve and sign the annual contract with TARCOG for our Council of Aging agreement?
I'll make that motion.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion or questions? If none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next up is our approval for our fiscal year 2023 budget for the Jackson County Commission. You have in your packet, you have the budget sheets for this year. A few comments, if I may, and then further discussion. First of all, I want to thank all of the departments and department heads for their participation in this budget. We started this process back in June. We've had a number of budget meetings over the course of the summer. We have come to this point of a budget ready for submission to be submitted to the Commission for approval. This year we've dealt with some of the same issues that all of our citizens across Jackson County deals with. To include cost of inflation, certainly has impacted our citizens, but it's had an impact on our services as well, such as the cost of gasoline, fuels, oils, cost of maintenance, cost of equipment procurement, cost of repairs on equipment, and those kind of issues that have driven up, particularly over the last several months. We have seen an increase in those costs. And we have tried to deal with that as a projection forward for next year, that we will anticipate we will have to deal to some extent with those costs that will continue to be something that we will have to deal with. The other issue that we've dealt with, like a lot of our businesses across the county, is competition of our pay and salaries. Certainly, we see our other counties having to deal with that, and we see the private sector having to deal with that. As a result, we're seeing salaries go up, and it creates an issue for us in our ability to hire and ability to maintain personnel. We have seen in the course of this year a number of our people who have left employment with the county because they're having to deal with those inflated costs, and so they're looking for jobs, and many times they're finding opportunities in jobs that exceed by several dollars per hour what we have been able to pay them. So we're trying to deal with that. The result of this budget is we do, with this budget, fund all of our county departments and fund the services that we provide to the citizens of the county. We're able to fund the sheriff's department, our jail, our revenue commission and the activities of the revenue commission, the probate office and the work that is done in the probate office, our solid waste department, our public works department, our council of aging department, the county park, the commission, emergency management. As in this budget, to address the issues that we mentioned, you will find that in the budget that we will vote on today, the following personnel and payroll changes and the attached rates that you'll see in the packet. This year we propose to provide a 2% COLA raise for our employees. It will raise the starting rate for our junior employees, and will raise the rate of pay for all of our employees. As well as we would provide a 3% step increase, and these rates would be effective at the beginning of the first full payroll in October, October the 10th through the 23rd, to be paid out on October the 28th. This is a rate that we see is consistent with what our other counties are doing. Neighboring counties, whether it's Marshall or DeKalb or Madison County, as well as the cities that we have in the area, because everyone is dealing with the same problem that we're dealing with: retention of employees, hiring of new employees in a competitive area that even with this, I will tell you, the citizens of the county, we still are not quite to the level of some of the competitive rates that we're seeing across the county. Also, in this budget, the chief clerk in the sheriff's office will be reclassified from a grade 14 to a grade 12. We will make permanent a pistol permit clerk position in the sheriff's office, established at a grade 2. One of the areas that we saw a significant issue regarding retention of employees was in our jail system. And with the COVID issues that we had, we saw a lot of cases of overtime pay so that we had adequate staff available, as well as employees having to work weekends to cover for folks who are out for sickness or other reasons. As a result of that, we're proposing that we add 2 new correction deputies to the organization chart for the jail. This would help alleviate the need for overtime, as well as people having to work for long periods of time without break. It's 2 more deputies to help with the staffing of our jail. Also, with this budget, we'll move 2 custodians from the maintenance department budget to the revenue commission budget. Other items that we have addressed with this budget in the Jackson County Park, the commission a number of years ago approved and built cabins at our county park, and the rate that was initially established has been in place since then, but our rates for cabin rentals are significantly less than other parks that we see in the area. So we're going to propose increasing the cabin rental rate effective the 1st of October of this year. However, we will honor all reservations that are already made, and those reservations already extend into about the July-August timeframe of next year. And so the new rates will start seeing effectivity in that timeframe. Also, we propose for the Jackson County Solid Waste Department to increase the commercial business dumpster rate by $10 per month and increase the commercial construction dumpster rate by $100 per month. This is in consideration to be consistent with what we're seeing with other providers of those services across the county. Though at the same time, it's not quite as high as those others. We're still below those other competitive rates. A note, the commission, in our last meeting, the state had made a recommendation that our county employees be given a bonus for their service. It's a one-time bonus. And the commission last meeting approved that bonus at a cost of the county of $64,000. We honor the service of all of our employees that have worked for this county and served our county and have now retired. And that was the basis of that recommendation to approve those bonuses. So that is a part of this FY 2023 budget recommendation. The budget for the Jackson County Commission, the total budget, revenue projection is $28,546,938. Our expenditure expectation that we have planned is $28,097,843. Within that, that funds the general fund, Public Works, Council of Aging, Emergency Management Agency, the county jail, solid waste, and the Jackson County Park. The general fund budget for the county. The revenue projection is $954,838, with our expenditure projection at $9,920,664. That is a margin of about $31,000. It is a tight budget, but we believe that that is a budget we can execute. The general fund budget funds the commission, the sheriff's office, the probate judge office and their activities, the revenue commission and their activities to include mapping and appraisal, our maintenance department, and other activities of support within the county. So that is the recommended budget that we present to the county commission for our fiscal year 2023. Again, I'd like to say thanks to all the departments who have worked with us on this and over the last 4 months, and we really appreciate it. If approved, this budget will be posted on our commission website and available for anyone within the county to pull that up and take a look at our budget. So with that, any questions or comments? If not, do I have a motion to approve our FY 2023 budget?
I'll make a motion to approve the budget.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
We have one abstention,
Got 2 abstain too.
2 abstentions, and 2 ayes. So motion carries. Or do we need a vote?
It does not carry.
I'm sorry?
It does not carry. It does not carry.
It does not carry.
You'll have to vote, sir.
I'm sorry?
You can vote. You'll have to vote.
Okay, so I will vote yes.
No, it carries.
Okay, motion carries. Okay. With that, next in our packet We have two board openings that we need to address in this meeting. The first is for the Alabama Mountain Lakes Tourism Association Board. This is for a 2-year term. The commission gets one position to fill. Last year, this position was filled by Mr. Lyle Sosby. The term has expired, and so we are filling one position. We have announced this opening for the board for about a 3-week period. We have received one applicant, and that applicant's resume or request for consideration, that letter is in your packet. That is from Mr. Stephen Pereira. He is the director of our county park system. So with that, do I have a nomination for the position of the as a member of the Alabama Mountain Lakes Tourism Association Board?
I'll recommend Steve Pereira.
We have a recommendation, so any other recommendations? If not, all in favor, do I have a motion to approve Mr. Stephen Pereira as a board member of the Alabama Mountain Lakes Tourism Association Board?
Do we need a second on Kevin's nomination?
I'm sorry?
Do we need a second on Kevin's nomination? Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I'll second the nomination of Stephen Pereira.
Okay, all in favor of Mr. Pereira? Say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, and Mr. Pereira will be the new member. Next, we have two openings for the Department of Human Resources. Again, we advertised these board positions for about 3 weeks. We have two applicants. Ms. Rhonda Wheeler, Ms. Wendy Trott. Now, both of these are the members that their terms are expiring, and they have requested to be considered for renomination and approval or selection for the board. Do I have nominations for our Department of Human Resources Board?
I'll nominate Rhonda Wheeler and Wendy Trott.
Okay, we have nomination for Rhonda Wheeler and Wendy Trott. We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. So Ms. Wheeler and Ms. Trott are appointed for their new terms. Okay. The addition that we had to the new business was, let me pull that back out, if I could. We need a motion to approve the application of the Scottsboro Solid Waste Authority to amend its solid waste disposal permit to include additional alternate daily covers. We do have a resolution. The resolution states, "It is hereby resolved by the Jackson County Commission that after a public hearing held on September the 26th, 2022, that Jackson County, being the host community for the landfill owned and operated by the Scottsboro Solid Waste Authority, does hereby approve the application of the Scottsboro Solid Waste Authority to amend its solid waste disposal permit to include the additional alternate daily covers of tarps and wood chips, approved during the regular meeting of the Jackson County Commission on 26th day of September 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve as read.
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. With this, we'll move with that. That's the conclusion of our new business. We'll move into our work session portion. We have a number of items. First item of discussion, commission item, is the Stevenson Food Pantry. You have in your packet a request from Ms. Monica Davis with the Stevenson Community Food Pantry for a request for funding support. In her email to us, She states that the city of Stevenson allows the food pantry to be run from out of the Stevenson Library. The pantry is ran off 100% off the local donations from individuals, businesses, and organizations. In the worst of the COVID years, this pantry was giving out 75 or more boxes a day, 3 days a week to the people of the community. But now that the economy is in the shape it's in, the number of needs have steadily increased each week. And they have requested an amount of $50,000 to help the food pantry continue to help the people of Jackson County. We, regarding the request, certainly we want to do everything we can to help, but we have set aside funding in our ARPA funds to be considered for food pantry support. We have discussed this with the Invest in Alabama counties. They are preparing an application form that is compliant with the rules for by the American Rescue Plan Act that would allow us to help this food pantry. We do not yet have that complete. I would propose that we consider that we get that submitted to the food bank. Another consideration is to be eligible for ARPA funds, you have to be a 501c3. And right now, the food pantry is not a 501c3. I understand from Ms. Davis that they're in the process of trying to apply for that. So we try to give them time to get that done, and then provide funding to support them. They do a great job. There's no doubt about that, and we certainly have seen an increase in demand for food assistance in this county. So with that, let me open the floor for further discussion regarding this.
ARPA funding, Mr. Chairman, don't they have to show an increase from before COVID to a documented increase? And we can only assist with the funding for the additional? Is that what I'm remembering?
You're exactly right, and that will be part of the information that is provided in the application form that IEC is preparing for us. The way we're able to assist is exactly as Commissioner Venable said. Had to establish what is the increased need that has been established, what is pre-pandemic versus the need that is now, and what is the increase. The issue that we also have with this food pantry is they were not in operation pre-pandemic, so they, I believe, will be able to show that this has been an increase through the period of time, but we are working with IEC to make sure that we're clear on that. Another way that they can show, just for the information of other food pantries, y'all also can show, as this one represents, that you've had a substantial increase above what the pandemic was in the amount of need, and that is clearly evidence with this request that we have here. So we will work with Ms. Davis to try and help them with the application process and to establish their basis of need so that we can assure we comply with ARPA fund requirements and provide food assistance to them. Last comment I would make, we're in the process of trying to identify all food pantries across the county so that we can get these applications to each of the food pantries so that they can, if they can establish a need, that we can also consider them in the future for funding assistance for their food pantry needs. Any questions or comment? Okay. With that, also in your packet, we have some information regarding Emily's Law. At our last meeting, the Sheriff's Department requested, this has been established as a new law in Alabama. It has to do with dangerous dogs and keeping dangerous dogs. And it provides that if anyone wants to keep a dangerous dog, that there are certain spec requirements that they have to make regarding enclosures that they would have to build for that. And they would have to apply for a permit to keep that individual. That permit would be at a registration fee of $100. Those funds would go to the counties in Alabama, and then for the county's decision on where those funds would be, how they would be distributed. The request from the Sheriff's Department is those funds would be provided to our animal control to help them with the expense of their operation. So that was the discussion we had at our last meeting. That's up for discussion is our consideration of Emily's Law and whether or not we would propose providing those funds to the Sheriff's Department for animal control.
Can you define what is a dangerous dog? I've got a little Chihuahua. and he's dangerous. How do they know who's going to?
It requires
They have to do-
a incident, I mean, somebody making a complaint and
I think so. To be honest, Mr. Rich, I don't have the
look here what my
definition of a
little
dangerous
Chihuahua
dog.
did.
but it's not just dog breeds or, I mean, it has to be determined by the courts somehow, some way that this specific animal is a dangerous animal, not this breed of animals or.
Also, if I got a pit bull and I mean, it's something that if it hasn't bite somebody or something like that nature, not if I just go get a pit bull, I've got to pay the $100.
No, it's only if it's, the way I understand it, it's only if it's determined to be a dangerous animal.
What about alligators, snakes?
This law only applies to dogs.
Dogs.
It's only applies to
We get
dogs.
into,
Okay.
yeah, we get into weeds now.
Yeah.
Let's not do that.
And Rocky informed us last time that we've only had one instance of somebody choosing to do this. And so because of that, we've got to set this up so that we've got a structure for licensing of this dog, and it's an annual.
We also would have a local act that companions Emily's Law. You might want to look at that, or any fees that might be due under that act, not just Emily's Law. You might want to look at that before you do anything.
And also on this, I mean, I'm sure there's going to have to be some determination on you meet all the requirements. I noticed microchipping the dog, having a certain fence, shot records, all that kind of. So that's going to be on us to make sure that happens, or is there some mechanism in place based on?
Once either there's this doesn't occur unless a complaint is filed in the court. And once that's done, it's either resolved by agreement of the parties and the judge enters an order, or it's determined by the court after a hearing. And then the judge sets all that out, what they have to do. But then unfortunately, it is up to our animal control officer to make sure that it all happens.
I mean, to me, I know we've only had one instance of this, but I see where we're coming out on the low end of this, having to have somebody provide the license, go through all the record keeping, checking up to make sure that this is happening on an annual basis. I don't see where we're even breaking even at $100. So is there any way that we could raise this rate?
Not under Emily's Law. We could do it under the local act.
Yeah.
We need to amend the local act.
We need to go through and check everything that's in, like Mr. Porter said, what we have our local vicious animal ordinance is what it is.
Because easily I could see where somebody would spend multiple days on each application, and I mean, and that's,
There is some fence requirements. and-
we're gonna pay them a whole lot more than $100 for their time.
Okay. So we want to take a look at the local act and then make a determination regarding, we want to add any other fees regarding that from the local. Any other comments or questions regarding that?
So we're just gonna add local to the work session next time?
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. If no further question or comment, next, I received a call. We had some speakers a couple of meetings ago regarding the Scottsboro Barbecue Festival. They had asked if the commission would provide a contribution for the festival. So I will open the floor for any discussion or consideration of that. Okay, if none, do we want to move this to new business next time or set it aside?
Jason, help us out here. What is the normal expectation on something like that from the commission? What have we done in instances like this in the past?
We have not contributed to anything such as this,
No.
bass tournaments or anything else, simply because there's no return on the investment. And you're looking at when you guys just passed a budget with $31,000 of surplus money in the general fund. It's gonna be very difficult for the commission to support anything. If you guys wanna go in personally, I don't care to chip in $50 a piece or something if we want to sponsor out of our pocket, but.
I definitely think the barbecue festival is a worthwhile cause, but I see that as a never ending, because there's always events happening, and I don't know that we can justify public money.
It's a
for that.
slippery slope once you start
Yeah.
supporting one.
No,
and,
I would think so,
you
too.
know,
Support all of them.
And I support them, you know.
Sure.
It's a good thing, and I'm glad to have it, but it just.
To me, it's the kind of thing that I think we as public servants should be attending, should be promoting, should encourage others to do, but I don't know that this is something necessarily that we need to get on that slope.
I will offer that I had this very discussion with the folks who are sponsoring this, and they understand the county position here, the commission position. If you do this, the number of festivals and events that we have across the county on a yearly basis can become quite expensive for us if we try to support all. So they understand the position that we may have to take with this. So I will propose for this that we not move this forward to new business. Any objection to that? Okay. With that, next is Public Works. We have a couple items there, equipment surplus and recommendation, and for auction proposal. But I got a call from our Director of Public Works just before the meeting. We have had one of our bidders in our annual bid to decline because of lack of personnel to support, and so we'll also discuss that as well. Mr. Campbell.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. I think it's dead, John. Got it. I'll do my best to talk loud. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
So the first item, as the Chairman alluded to, equipment surplus and auction proposal. Before I get started into the business of today, I just want to update you on an auction that took place between our last meeting. So that had to do with a triaxle proposal that you guys approved on August 18th, 2022. Just as a reminder, there were 3 triaxles included in that to be presented at public auction. The proposal was a guarantee for the September auction should vehicles make it to that auction or we receive replacements in time, otherwise they would be sold in December. We did take possession of a new triaxle prior to the September auction and were able to make ready and transport one of the triaxles that sold on September 20th, which was last Tuesday. Just as an update on that piece of equipment, the purchase price over a year ago was $152,594. It sold at auction for $282,500. So less commission, there was still about $122,000 that would go toward our fleet program from that vehicle. So that vehicle set records in its class, but also set records at auction and definitely set records for us. So I am convinced 100% that that would not have sold at the price it did and would not have presented in the class that it did were it not for the hard work of the folks that worked for several days to make that vehicle ready. Parts were removed when we took possession of it, decorative type parts, and set aside after the service. They were replaced, paint was touched up, vehicle was touched up, it was mechanically checked, it was cleaned and looked like and was presented just like it was delivered from the dealer from us. So once that was transported and we received news of those results, we were elated. So I appreciate their hard work, and I know all of you do. In the same category of surplus and auction, but different types, is what we present today. Before you is a proposal for public auction, and it deals with half-ton extended cab pickup trucks. These trucks range in mileage from 33,000 to 42,000. And just as a little backup in our original capital outlay, a lot of trucks were purchased in the 2020 timeframe just prior to COVID. With the anticipation in the 30 to 40,000 mile range, we would look at liquidating assets and look at the replacement costs based on available data that we had when setting up the program. That time frame was targeted because of the return on investments that we saw from similar assets that had been auctioned. The original purchase price of the vehicles, and the photo is a representation of those vehicles, and it's the picture after the proposal. The original purchase price of those vehicles was $26,24498. The proposal submitted before you guarantees a $23,000 per vehicle less commission. The anticipation that we are explained to by the auction company is that they could potentially auction for, and realistically will auction for, mid to upper 20s. So if we can achieve the number of $27,819.68, then we will have operated at a net zero cost of operation and ownership for these vehicles, less routine maintenance costs. The next sheet is a worksheet, and it's titled Stivers Ford Lincoln. Stivers Ford, they hold the state bid for replacement half-ton trucks as options for state, counties, and other municipalities that choose to order off state bid. The issue, this endeavor started in March, but the issue of locating replacement vehicles as well as identifying the replacement vehicles and getting those to public auction has been availability. So we are fairly certain that if we act soon enough, we can submit the governmental department order form that you see in front of you. And this form details the type of truck that we would purchase, which would be a replacement for the ones in the photo. And it also details the price, which there's obviously a substantial increase over the 2-year period, as well as inflationary costs of all vehicles. And this would set aside slots that we are told the dealership expects before the next wave of orders are open for the new year. You'll notice in the top of the order form, there are several packages of recommendations that are provided by the dealer. This is particularly dealer specific. The worksheet starts out on a model series and basic equipment, and then the recommended options start, as well as add-on options that are available for anything. So just for information, the premium value package was the selection made. That's mostly and solely based on what they have in slots that are available to them. For example, the 5.0 engine, we were perfectly fine with the 3.3 that is the standard, but when we ask about being able to reduce that price, take the 3.3 instead of the 5.0, we were informed that the 5.0 is part of the slots in the trucks that are being built. So in order to get vehicles, basically they're telling us that these are options minus the small add-ons that you'll see. And the one is the safety feature, which is a backup alarm. We implemented that when we did the fleet changes back with the 2020 purchases. So for consideration are the 4 trucks that are in the auction proposal with the prices paid and what our guarantee and anticipation of auction results are. The difference would be their replacements are obviously near the 10,000 mark, greater in cost, but we would be rotating that asset, retrieving our investment in our asset, and moving into new options without that depletion by hanging on to those vehicles. The last piece of information is another photo, and this originated from state surplus auction equipment. We have the option as a local entity to pick up state equipment that has been declared surplus. We have seen an increase in price and a decrease in availability on that side, but I selected one of the vehicles similar to what we would purchase and similar to what we request in surplus as an example. So the state will oftentimes make equipment available that is headed to auction. That's done as a courtesy to entities who would like to purchase used equipment at a reduced price of new without facing any procurement issues by doing so. So this is an example of the same configuration, basically, of the truck that we're requesting to surplus and purchase. It's a 2019 year model, 4x4 half-ton Ford extended cab, 65,626 miles. And in order to accept this truck from the state, the purchase price you see is what it would take to acquire the vehicle that would otherwise go to auction. So I would submit to you that it's safe to assume the price you see there is their anticipated auction price, and they've priced those accordingly. So just a piece of data to use in evaluating the new 2023 price, as well as the auction anticipation price for surplus. So we're 1 year newer, we're considerably less on miles, and if they're expecting that, maybe upper 20s to this is what I would submit to you would be max on anticipation, but I think anywhere in there is possible. And what's driving these markets, obviously, is the availability.
Okay, any questions? Comments?
Great job, that's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome, and, you know, we'd be foolish not to go ahead. We're a year behind what we anticipated when we started with the pickup trucks on the rollover program and with them. They're not getting any nearer, and they're getting more miles on them every time, every work day, so we'd be foolish not to, if we can get the replacement vehicles.
I mean, the dump trucks, I mean, it's showing that we're doing that, you know, we're not even having to buy tires for it, plus making a profit. But you have all these naysayers out in the county that we drive all new vehicles. They need to be educated on why we do this. You know, saves them money and plus make money.
When I first got elected in 2012, I mean, we had a pretty ragged fleet of vehicles.
Right.
This rollover program has been awesome.
Yeah. But I would recommend, or hats off to everybody that's worked hard on getting and making this happen.
Let me ask, if I could, a question. How quickly do you need us to approve this to meet your auction date?
I don't want to shortchange any homework or discussions that need to take place. However, I can tell you the faster I can get this worksheet turned into that dealership, it increases our odds of availability on those 4 vehicles.
Okay.
Think we-
So in discussion of let's setting aside the rules, and I guess the proposal would be to approve the equipment surplus of 4 public work trucks.
I make the motion that we set aside the rules for this situation.
Okay, do I have a second to set aside?
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to
I'll make that
approve
motion.
surplusing 4 public work trucks and submission for auction?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Do
Thank
we
you.
need to address anything else regarding that?
I just want to make sure that, is it also approved to make the purchase from the worksheet for the replacement vehicles?
So we will add to make,
Yeah, I
To
think
that
that was the
motion
intent. I
purchase?
just want to make sure I'm clear.
You need a second motion,
I'm sorry?
you need another motion.
I make a motion that we get in line to purchase the 4 needed vehicles with
I'll
the,
think that.
We have a second?
second.
All in favor, say aye. Motion carries. Mr. Manning, if you will properly write those motions, we would appreciate that. Okay? Okay, with that, there was the other question that has just come up, and we'd like Mr. Campbell to discuss that, please.
So just prior to the meeting, the call came into the commission office first, and then it was followed up by correspondence in written form, and I would like to distribute that now. So the call was, the call first, and then follow-up email was from the vendor that was awarded the bid for fuel. And that fuel includes 87 octane gas, which we purchased throughout the course of the year, as well as number 2 diesel fuel. You can see the email correspondence that we called and actually requested and was sent about 2 o'clock today. And the reasoning for declining the bid that was awarded, and just a reminder, the award letter was sent out on September 6th, and the award by this body was made on September 2nd. Was a reference to short staff on drivers, and the term that was used that they were going to pass in the best interest of both. So this late in the game, we're only left with one choice, in my opinion, on this. And I asked Mr. Porter to correct me if I misspeak on any of the bid law requirements. We do have an alternate bid as the second lowest bidder. It would be my recommendation that this bid, since it is post-award and post the few days that are allowed for recognition of a mistake, that this bid be categorized in default and award be made to the second lowest bidder that we have available. So we had, just as a reminder, when those bids came in, we had two bidders, one by this vendor and the other was by Jet Oil Company. There was a difference in price with 87 octane of 2 cents, and number 2 diesel by 22 cents. So the diesel is a considerable amount higher with the second lowest bidder. And the 87 octane gas is slightly higher.
Jonathan, educate me on the bid process. If we were to open this back up, how long would we have to advertise it and select? And I mean, what kind of danger zone is that as far as?
So the issue with rejecting all bids and re-advertising is we wouldn't have anything in place at the start of the fiscal year by October 1.
Okay.
So we would have to purchase perhaps in limited amounts under bid law requirements, I would say, until we could get something in place and awarded.
Mr. Porter, would, if we go to the second lowest bidder, would that be breaking any rules or?
No, sir.
Can they be negotiated with since, under the circumstance?
I think so, because then we would only have one bidder, but I'd have to look at that and see.
How many bidders do we have on gas? 2? I mean, if you're gonna rebid it, probably just gonna have one.
Yeah, look, traditionally, that's the only 2 bidders we've had.
Right.
And
I just wonder
can't remember.
if the environment's different than it was when the bids were let before. So maybe the price is potentially better, but I don't know.
So it would all, despite when it's bid, it would all adjust monthly based on a price index.
I understand that, so, I mean, is that, what you're saying is 22 cents, would that be on the adjusted, or is that on what they bid?
That's at time of bidding.
Okay.
So that same proportion of
So
difference.
potentially it could be closer than what it,
No,
it will stay, it'll stay.
He's a certain percent above market value, whatever the index says it is, and that's the percentage he's
I got you.
bidding. So
I got
if
you.
it goes up, his goes up. You know,
I got you.
same percentage.
Yeah, so he's doing floating
Yeah.
bid anyway.
Nobody
Okay.
gets beat up on that.
Right.
This one here states that they don't have drivers, so if he rebids it in January, he still may not have drivers.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm just seeing what the options are aside from the second.
At the second lowest bidder, we're still considerably cheaper than what we would be at the pump. if we
Oh,
go to
yeah,
a
absolutely.
Service station, so. Bids, there's only 2 in town, two that bids. If we, you know, one has decided not, I would say that at all possible just to
When you don't set the
accept
rules.
the second bidder. Second highest bidder.
So I think we've already set the rules aside, or do we need to do it separately for this one, okay?
Second.
I make a motion
So-
that we set the rules aside to vote on this.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Uh,
Okay, motion carries. So I will try to suggest what the motion says. I thought you said 2 things. One, default the lowest bidder. Did I understand that right?
So we would consider this bid in default due to the time frame past the award, but our recommendation for the commission would be to award the
Right.
fuel bid to the second lowest bidder.
So I'm trying to take both in one motion, that we consider the lowest bidder in default and award the contract to the second lowest bidder. Is that fair? So can I get a motion to default the lowest bidder and award the contract to the second lowest bidder?
I make the motion as you stated.
And I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thanks very much, and thanks for bringing that to the commission this quickly.
Thank you all.
Really appreciate that. Okay, with that, we have completed our work session discussion items. So let's go to reports from the staff. County Administrator.
I just want to say thanks to everybody who worked hard on this budget this year again. I know we had a lot of people put a lot of hours on this, and everybody did a lot of hard work. And thanks to all department heads, commissioners, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. County Engineer.
No, sir, thank you.
I want to say just what everybody here said. Thanks for what you've done. In addition to that, I know he was getting pothole calls this week because I was getting them too, so, and he was out personally responding to those, so thanks very much. County Attorney?
I don't have anything, thanks.
Okay. Any of the other staff, department heads? Okay, if not, thanks very much. We will move to comments from the commission, and then we will move into an executive session. So first, comment from District 4, Commissioner Kevin McBride.
I don't have anything to add, other than thank you, Jonathan, for what you put in. I know they take good care of those vehicles, and that's hats off to the employees. I mean, they treat them like they should, obviously.
Thank you.
District 3, Commissioner Butler.
Yeah, just one thing with the weather getting more fall-like, I'd like to encourage everybody to get out and help us with our cleanup of our roadsides. Personal challenge, 1 bag per person per week for the month of October. I think it'd make a world of difference. It's just, if you could help me get that out, I think it would be a substantial difference. 1 bag per person per week for October. That would just move piles of garbage out. Clean up our ditches, allow for better road flow of the water, and just overall appearance would be amazing. And it is too beautiful not to be outside right now.
District 2, Commissioner Reynolds.
I don't have anything to add. No, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
District 1, Commissioner Rich.
I'm just glad to be here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. One comment I would like to make. I'm not sure everybody knows, but Sunday morning, about 2 o'clock in the morning, our Director of Maintenance, Mr. Gann, got notification that we had an issue here in the courthouse. He was here immediately and stayed until about 7 o'clock in the morning. We had the motor in our elevator that's in the garage that goes up to the sheriff's office on the 2nd floor. The motor burned out. As I understand, the temperature was at about 450 degrees. Very big concern about what that could result in. He called the fire department to make sure that they responded quickly. And he had gotten assurances that we did not have any risk of courthouse fire by about 7 o'clock, and he went home. And then I woke him up about 9 o'clock to see if he was going to do something to take care of it. But he had already taken care of it. I just want to acknowledge that work, that he was here through the night to take care of that for us. And I too want to thank everybody that worked on the budget and has worked on a number of items over the last several months. Really appreciate that help. So with that, our next meeting date will be October the 11th, 2022. And with that, I would ask if we can get a motion to proceed into executive session to discuss negotiation of contract.
That meeting's going to be at 3:30 or 4 o'clock or 5, 6:30 or...
Is 3:30 okay with everybody?
Normal time,
Okay.
3:30, okay.
I got one quick question. I was about the EDA board vacancy. Are we gonna?
We will
Announce
announce
that.
that. I will talk with the EDA director about that, and we'll get an announcement the way we've always done it. We'll put an announcement out to get candidates for that.
Can we go ahead and announce it now, or?
We will announce it. We need to put the announcement together. I'd like to get with the EDA director and have that discussion with him and then put the announcement out. We'll do that. Can I get a motion to proceed to executive session?
I'll make that motion.
Have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor say aye. Any nays? Motion carries. Thank you.